Hey guys, it's Jenny from Southern Savers. It's our weekly Q&A, and this week we are going to talk about healthcare, which I know could be touchy, taxes and savings. That is our goal as we dive in. And really kind of realized in making that decision, we always talk about this. Y'all may not realize this, but we always talk about it this week because open enrollment just started back for all of the healthcare programs that are out there. So if you're wanting to make a switch with what you have to something different, your window is now open. So it's a good week to hit that, but it's also a great time to make sure that you are taking advantage of any extra savings platforms that you could be using, some tax deductions that you could be getting ready for before the end of the year. So the reason I do it this week though is that we're about to be in crazy deal land after this week. So it's a good time to just get this, like some house cleaning out of the way before we just go into all the Christmas deals. Humorously though, all the stores are totally bringing Christmas deals at us this week. So while I had planned on just topping those things, I thought we might start with some of the sales that are going to be running this week, just so that you are fully prepared for what is coming. So to get you ready, we have a big sale starting in Target this week. All of these being like Thursday through Sunday, some of them possibly starting as early as Wednesday if you've got early access, like with Target Circle. But Target is running their early Black Friday ad this weekend. Kohl's is running their early Black Friday ad this weekend. Expect Best Buy and Sam's Club to join in on this fun too. So it's going to be kind of a busy end of the week as we get further into the week. And then we're going to start next week with Walmart sales. The first Walmart event is going to be starting on the 14th. So lots of big weekends from here on in the deal world, but it's a good time for you to make sure that you have knocked out like Christmas lists. What do people want? This is the time. Ask your kids. Ask whoever you need to shop for. What do you want for Christmas? So that you are prepared to buy these things with the sales that are running, right? Don't leave me hanging and make me have to pay full price for these items. Tell me upfront what kind of things that you actually want so that I can be prepared to shop and grab them. And on that note, I do want to mention, if you haven't caught it already, that Target is running daily deals now every single day through basically the week of Christmas. And so far, they've really brought their A game with those. Some of them you may not care about each day, but there's usually 4 or 5 different things that are on sale every single day. And I would guess that at least one of them is going to catch your attention and be like, ooh, that might be interesting. So definitely keep an eye on those Target daily deals. I will say, if you have the Target app, it has been sending me an alert every morning of here are the daily deals. So maybe grabbing that Target app and being ready so that you can just, not miss anything just in case. So let's dive into some of the other topics that I had for us. We can go deals as well. I'm happy to go wherever y'all want on these Q&As. You ask away on whatever your questions might be, and I'm happy to answer any questions on or off topic. That's the fun part about a weekly Q&A. But I do always come with a topic to help us have something to talk about as well. And you may notice that I'm not in my normal location. So I am actually hanging in a hotel tonight in Chicago. I've been up in Chicago for an event with some major brands, hanging with Walmart and Groupon today, kind of getting the lowdown on what their upcoming holiday season looks like. It's always kind of fun, and I haven't actually gone to any of these events in a very long time. So it was a eye-opening day hanging out with a bunch of fashion and beauty bloggers, feeling a little out of my element, but it was so fun. So there are just moments where you realize I am not a fashion or a beauty blogger, but some fun deals. So a little side story there, I guess. So let's dive in a little bit on health insurance before we go into taxes and savings as well. That's the reason that I picked tonight, because all of your healthcare options reopened on November 1st. Years ago, this wasn't really an issue. But this is one of the added parts of where our healthcare is in America. So you literally have a 6-week window, and that is your window to make any changes that you want to your traditional health insurance for the rest of the year. There are some exceptions that allow you to make changes or allow you to get a new policy in the middle of the year, like you lost your job, type options. But for most of us, whatever you pick in November to mid-December, the cutoff is by December 15th, that is what you're stuck with for the next year. So we need to choose a little wisely, and not everyone is fully knowledgeable as to what your health insurance options are. So first off, before we even talk plans or even talk price, I do want to mention one option that may be the best option for a lot of folks is to look at high deductible plans. So in a lot of cases, going with a high deductible insurance plan means, first off, you're going to pay more upfront, not more per month. So a high deductible plan is usually the cheapest option in monthly insurance payments. But it does mean if I have an expense, I need to go to the doctor, I need to have some tests run, I'm going to need to pay for those tests upfront. I'm not going to actually have my insurance kick in until I reach my deductible. But I do want to let you know, with a high deductible plan, you are still going to get the insurance's discount. So you're not actually like a cash insurance or cash payment person. I'm going to get whatever rate the insurance would have paid for that visit. That's what I'm going to have to pay. So it isn't as bad as it seems, because believe me, the cash payment price is higher than the insurance payment price, but you are going to need to pay that up front. So with a high deductible plan, I'm going to pay less per month for the actual insurance, and then I'm going to pay all of my expenses up to whatever the deductible is. And that can differ based on the plan that you pick. But there is an added perk to picking a high deductible plan. And that is that you are actually eligible for a health savings account. Now, there are 2 savings accounts when it comes to health insurance. One is called a flexible spending account. That is not related at all to whatever insurance you pick. But a health savings account is only available to you if you choose a high deductible insurance plan. If you do not choose a high deductible insurance plan, meaning you choose a plan that has a copay to see the doctor, then you cannot have an HSA. Now, why would I want one? An HSA is like the unicorn of savings accounts, guys. All the money that you put in an HSA can go to help pay your deductible expenses, goes to pay whatever health insurance you needed this year, or you could save it. And anything you put in an HSA plan goes in tax-free. No matter how long you keep it there, it comes out tax-free as long as you use it for health-related expenses. So maybe I put it in this year. Maybe I even put in the whole amount of my deductible. This year for an HSA, for example, for a family, you can put up to $8,500 in the savings account. It goes in tax-free, meaning it lowers your taxable income by up to $8,500, however much you put in. Let's say you didn't use it. You had no health expenses this year and it just sat there. You could even put it in the stock market in some accounts, depends on what account you're in. Well, it can sit there, it can grow. Maybe you don't use it next year. Maybe you don't use it the year after that. You get the idea. Whatever it's earning while it's in there, when I do take it out for health expenses, maybe it's 5 years from now, it all comes out tax-free as well. There is no other savings account that does this. So it's pretty magical that it goes in and out tax-free. So if you think about your retirement accounts, you're going to have to pay taxes one way or the other, but you don't get both. So that is what is magical about this account. And again, the only way you're eligible for a health savings account is if you have a high deductible insurance. So I encourage you to at least look at it and to also run the numbers. So look at what you spent last year in your health insurance, just total health costs. How many times did we see the doctor? Did we have a bunch of tests? Did we have some added expenses? If you know that you've got some chronic health issues, maybe this isn't the best option for you. But if you have lower health issues, you're on the healthier side, it could be a decent option. There are also some calculators out there that will let you play with these numbers too, because one element to a high deductible plan is that typically, in most of them, once you meet your deductible, once I pay, let's say your deductible was $6,000. Once I pay that $6,000, it pays everything. So for some of you, that's actually better than a plan that you pay some and then it pays a percentage until a certain max out of pocket. So that's where the calculator comes in, is figuring out which one ends up winning, right? And this is really the game that we all play, trying to pick the health insurance that we come out feeling like the winner. I don't know that there is one that makes you feel like the winner, but for some of us that have less expenses, there's a really good chance that that high deductible plan makes you come out feeling a little bit ahead. And definitely if you got to pair in that health savings account. So wanted to mention that. With the marketplace, if you decide to go that route, you can definitely start to play with numbers. You can see where things are, but do know that right now subsidies are in the air as to whether or not you're going to get any extra discounts or not. We'll just have to see what happens. I do want to mention two other options, and specifically because this is actually what my family uses. We do not have actual traditional health insurance. My family uses Samaritan's Ministries. So for this, I will say this is a Christian-based sharing program. There are other sharing programs that are not Christian-based. So if you do not have the same faith, that's okay. There are other medical sharing programs that are out there. But the concept behind Samaritan Ministries, behind MediShare, there's a number of them that exist, is that you basically don't have insurance. Instead, you pay a monthly amount, and then all of those monthly amounts are sent specifically to people who have expenses. So as you have expenses, you submit claims into their back end. And then with that, they assign people to basically reimburse you for what you have spent. So with Samaritan's Ministries, they actually have two platforms now. They just rolled out a second one, but I will say my family is right here with the Samaritan Classic. And for us, for a family of 7, because we're still adding in our college kids, we pay $700 a month. So that is our insurance cost, basically. Now, you cannot touch that on any actual health insurance platform. So that is really why we are here. It is so much cheaper than we could get in a traditional health insurance program. But there are some buts there. They don't cover any of your yearly medical care items. So when I go for a physical, when the kids go for a physical, we're going to pay for that out of pocket. And then any larger expenses, I can share them, that's what it's called, for anything over $1,000. So I'm going to need to handle all of our yearly just well visits, basically. And I'm going to need to handle the first $1,000 of whatever our issue might be. But after that, they're going to cover 100%. So it's actually pretty great in terms of what a high deductible plan would cost. So for us, in terms of our well visits this year, that has been about $700 total in expenses that are not coverable. And then in terms of other expenses, we're out $1,000, and then they are handling the rest. Now, if this is a brand new concept to you and you're still interested, I will say we do go in to a doctor and we tell them that we are a cash pay family. So we basically treat it like we do not have insurance, and then we pay, or we get them to bill us, and Samaritan's Ministries will pay us back. But it's technically not insurance. So I just want to be kind of on the up and up as to how that works. Now, the other platform that they just released is called Redeem. And this is more traditional. I think they were trying to take it to a way that made people feel a little bit better. And I think for most people, you're going to want this Redeem enhanced. So this has prescription coverage. This $1,500 flex share even covers dental or vision if you wanted it. And it says starting at $113. But this is with the Redeem side. And Anna, hopefully this answers your question too. So on the Samaritan side, on the traditional Samaritan side, which we have, prescriptions are not covered. But on the Redeem side, prescriptions are covered. So with Redeem, and it gives you like a cost calculator that you can use. So if I went and I kicked my college kids off, it's significantly cheaper. But this would be kind of give you an idea of what our family would pay. Again, you choose your annual unshareable amount. That is what this AUA is. And it's basically your deductible. So it's kind of going back into that health insurance lingo. So it means the first $3,000, the first $6,000, I'm going to pay that. And then I can share anything above that, including prescriptions, just any expenses whatsoever. But this is the monthly amount that we would pay for up to 5 people in our family. And this is just using their calculator. So you can slide it over if it was just you and your husband, or even if I wanted to play and put in my college kids. So just one single adult. This is a pretty huge savings for one single adult. You're not going to get an insurance policy that is this cheap. Even at the $270, that's with the flex share. So there, you're going to cover the first $3,000 in expenses, then they're going to handle everything else. But this flex share is also including $1,500 worth of dental and vision. If they don't need dental and vision, then go without the flex share at $203 or $154. You get some ideas here. I just wanted to kind of play with the calculator and show you what that would look like. So another one that I know a lot of people's first questions are, I do want you to realize there's other platforms. Samaritan Ministries, though, has been around for upwards of 30 plus years. So this is not like a fly-by-night company. It's there and actually has really great reviews. So we've been with them for over a year and a half now. But with our family, I will say it, we've never had to file a claim until this month. So I've just started the process to file claims for some testing that one of our college kids is dealing with. But until this year, till this month, we've not really had any large expenses. And again, they don't cover any of your like well visits. So we've been okay. Prescription wise, we do other things to save on prescriptions, which I've shared in other videos, but huge fan of GoodRx. So if you don't have prescription coverage, using GoodRx, coming in here, whatever the doctor wants to prescribe, telling them up front, hey, I don't have prescription coverage, and then searching for it so that you know that you have a good deal on this. So this is actually a current example. One of my college kids has to have a colonoscopy in a couple weeks. Fun times for a college kid. And this is what the doctor ordered to do her prep. Now, guys, there is over-the-counter prep for colonoscopy that's been around for ages that costs like $20. So when the pharmacy calls and says this is going to be over $200, your first thing needs to be, let me call the doctor and see if they will prescribe something else. But even before that, if you're leaving the doctor's office, you should be leaving having already pulled up GoodRx on your phone or on a mobile app. They have an app, and searching for what they just prescribed. Because if this is what they just prescribed and that's the best price that you're going to get, you can see the price at any local place for it, you should actually turn to the doc and be like, hey, I think we can find this cheaper. Now, my college kid did not do that. In all honesty, I was with her and the doc didn't even tell us what they had prescribed. They just called it into the pharmacy. So there are times that you miss that mark. But when she went to pick it up and she told me the price, I was like, let's call the doctor, because this isn't an urgent med. You've got this test weeks from now. We can find a cheaper med for this. There are other options than a $200 medication. So GoodRx is your friend, and your doctor should be your friend. Your doctor should fully understand that no one wants to pay this much for stuff you have to drink, right? There's some other things that can do that. So use GoodRx, hopefully find a cheaper option for whatever it might be. Like, for example, this was another one that we had recently searched, but generic Augmentin is just like amoxicillin, fancy amoxicillin. But I can immediately see where the cheapest place to grab this is, and turns out the cheapest by far is Sam's Club or Publix, taking advantage of GoodRx in those locations. So I can always then tell the doctor, hey, this is where I want to have it filled. So I don't have prescription coverage, but I can be very smart with my prescriptions. And hopefully that won't cost an arm and a leg for sure. Okay, and so a couple other things that you can do on the prescription side too, in case anyone has more expensive things, is definitely reach out directly to the pharmaceutical company and see if they have any options. So my poor mom, who had a stroke a few years ago, left the hospital from her stroke with a bunch of new medications, and a number of them are not cheap. They do not have generics. This is just what they're going to cost, and you're going to get to stay on them, because once you have a stroke, you don't get to play around anymore. So call the pharmaceutical company directly and see, do you have any discounts for this medication? Can we order it directly from you? Or do you offer mail order discounts? Do you offer 3-month supply discounts? You will actually find that a lot of the pharmaceutical companies, when you go to them directly, do have prescription savings options for people who really cannot afford this full price cost. So for example, one of her most expensive medications is her blood thinner. It's Eliquis. It is the big name brand blood thinner that a whole bunch of people are on, but there is no generic for it, and it can be very expensive. So that's another one too, if you're ever put on expensive medications, to start to do your homework and to dig to see how you can bring that price down. And keep in mind, there's a number of traditional health insurances that also do not cover pharmacy. That high deductible plan that I was telling you about that lets you use that health savings account, there's really no prescription coverage there either that's going to help you out very much. So really, for my family, while we are on Samaritan's Ministries now, for years we've been on high deductible plans, and we're just very used to life with GoodRx because it is the way that we're going to save on prescriptions. So hopefully that's going to help you guys too. So I've been sharing, again, Samaritan Ministries on their traditional, or so their classic is where we are, or going with their new. I would recommend probably the enhanced, the Redeem Enhanced, because once you meet that max out-of-pocket cost, they pay for everything. But if you want to reduce the cost a little bit more, you could go with the Redeem Essential. But it's really not that much of a difference per month. I think long-term your savings will be better with the Redeem Enhanced. Now, again, there are other sharing platforms. So if you are not a Christian, if you have, no faith, whatever, you don't want to be tied into that, you can definitely search for health sharing programs. And there's a lot of platforms that are out there that are still going to give you coverage, but you do want to look at reviews for any of them. You don't want to just jump in blindly, and a really great place to look is the Better Business Bureau. So if you're hunting and you're trying to decide a unique platform, something different, look them up on the Better Business Bureau. Now, keep in mind, Better Business Bureau is where only really grumpy people leave reviews, right? This is your last resort. These people are not working with me. So there are no good reviews on Better Business Bureau, only bad. But it's helping you see just how many bad reviews a particular company has and how they're dealing with them. You will see the company's response back. It is a great way to research any company that you're working with, not just health insurance. Maybe it's a new roofer. It could literally be any company in town or online, hunting them down and seeing, again, it's only the people who are super grumpy, but what are they grumpy about? How many people are grumpy, and how did the company respond? Huge things that you can learn about a company from the Better Business Bureau. So start there on any research anywhere, but it's a really good one for sharing platforms in particular. Okay, so hit that one. But if you've got questions specifically on saving on healthcare, I'm happy to go with what other questions you may have. I don't want to hang there forever unless there were questions. So we're going to jump into some savings options for you. We have not hit the end of the year, so this is a good time. You've got 2 more months left in your year. Sorry guys, I'm at like this little tiny table and I keep bumping it and making the camera move, so I apologize. We have 2 more months left in our year. You still have time to make adjustments to your paycheck, to whatever you're doing, and try to get some money into savings. But in particular for retirement savings, you actually have 6 more months. You may not realize that, but if you've not been doing anything for retirement, you actually have until April 15th to open and fund a traditional or a Roth IRA. So I would encourage you, I know right before Christmas doesn't feel like the ideal time, but if you have not been saving for retirement, today, this is when you need to start, right? We don't need to keep putting this off. And I want you to realize, if you've not been putting money into retirement, there is no threshold that someone said is acceptable. You could literally put $5 into this account, but just getting started is the biggest hurdle. So opening the account and setting up that first payment, that is going to be the best thing that you could do for yourself. So right here, before the end of the year, it is a great time to do that. If your company offers a 401k, this is also a really great time to dive into that 401k. Definitely, if they've been offering you a company match that you have not been taking advantage of, you still have 2 more months to fund this account and get some of that free money that they're offering you. So just to put the bug in your ear, right? I'm hopefully not the only person that's told you that this year, but hopefully this is enough to get you to just be like, yes, I'm going to go to HR and I'm going to tell them to start my 401k. And anywhere that you work, even if you're part-time, there's a really good chance that you're still eligible for that 401k. So this needs to be everyone, not just my full-time folks, everyone seeing, is this something that's available for where I am and how do I get started? It's very easy to do. Now, if you decide to go the IRA route, the Roth or the traditional route, you can get started now. You do not have to finish funding it until April 15th of next year. So you still have 6 months to fully fund it. And to give you those numbers for 2025, you can put up to $7,000 a year into a Roth or a traditional IRA for 2025. If you're 50 or older, you can put $8,000. Now next year, that number is going to jump to $7,500. In a traditional or a Roth, and $8,600, so a little bit bigger for folks that are 50 or older. But that is next year. That is not for funding right now and not for funding through April 15th. That would just be for your 2026 funding that you get to put in a little bit more. But I would encourage you to get started there too. Even if, guys, really, it could be as little as $50 a month. If that's all that you could handle, then do it. $50 a month is still getting $600 put into a retirement account, and it's better than nothing. So it helps to get started, to not put it off. Now, whether you go traditional or Roth, if you're brand new into retirement savings, that is a tax question. And it's really going to come down to what tax bracket you are currently in. And for most people, if you're in a lower tax bracket, maybe you've got young kids, you really aren't getting, you're not paying a ton in taxes, or maybe you're even getting a really big refund, then you should really look at opening a Roth IRA. There is no tax incentive to do that right now. I don't get anything off of my taxes to put money into this account, but what I do get is that everything in the account and everything it ever earns will always come out tax-free, which is pretty huge. So for most folks, a Roth IRA is the best option for you. Now, if you owe significant taxes, if you're in a much higher tax bracket than you think you will be when you retire, which is not usually the case, most of us, we're either in a lower tax bracket when our kids are young, everybody's at home, but maybe you're, in your peak earning years, then you would want to look at a traditional IRA. And there are some great calculators out there that you can plug in how much you're earning and figure out what your tax bracket is to know whether you should go traditional or Roth. But basically, one is allowing you to have some tax savings right now. And one is saying, you know what, no tax savings right now. I will take it all when I retire, which is really and truly where you want it. Because when it comes down to being on a single, income, pulling only from your retirement, you're going to prefer to not pay any taxes. So your long-term self is going to thank your current self for choosing the Roth IRA, if that's the way that you want to go. And yes, Lily, exactly. Hands down. You're saying match beats Roth, which beats traditional. Yes. So if I was going to go that route, I want to go with the 401k first if my company offers it. If my company does not offer it, I want to go with a Roth. And then very few folks would want to go with the traditional because most of us are just not going to be in that I pay a ton of taxes now and I want the tax savings right now. Most of us are just going to be like, nope, all the tax savings later. No tax savings now. That's where most of us want it. And one other tip there that's a little bit more advanced, but whatever your company's match is, you can always put just that much into your 401k. So let's say their match is 5% of your salary. You can do just that much into your 401k, and then you could put the rest into a Roth IRA if you had extra. You just have some extra money sitting around. You can actually do both if you want, up to a certain amount. So that is an option too. So some retirement savings there for you, but never one to pass up for sure. And then I mentioned the health savings account, but if I think I told you the values, but on that health savings account for 2025, you can put up to $8,500 for families into that magical unicorn account, or $4,300 for individuals. That one is also going to go up a tiny little bit for 2026 to $4,400 and $8,750, but not as much of a jump as we're seeing in the IRAs. Okay. And one other insight on IRAs too, just an extra tip here, is that if your kids have a job as well, maybe they're working in Chick-fil-A or some sort of job that is paying them on a 1099 or a W-2. So not under the table babysitting here, but an actual job. They also can open a Roth IRA, and they should. They can fund it up to the amount that they earned. Or maybe you can help them fund it up to the amount that they earned if you want to let them spend some. They're not allowed to fund it past the amount that they earned though, so do keep that in mind. So yes, it does have thresholds that are up to $7,000, but if they didn't earn $7,000 this year, they cannot put that much in an IRA. So it cannot be more than they earned, but it is a great way to get them to start saving, and that IRA can actually be used for higher education. No penalties whatsoever to use it for higher education if you want to use it like a college savings account, or they can even withdraw $10,000, no penalty, towards their first home. So could be an extra little incentive to get our high school students focused on putting some money in savings, teaching them to save too. And Lily's chiming in and saying the HSA is the way to go. Is the way to go. If you do the copay, you're assuming coverage for the drug won't be dropped. That the drug that she was on, the coverage was dropped mid-year, but you're able to pay thanks to your HSA and your high deductible plan. So yes, I mean, hands down, I agree with you, Lily, for sure. A high deductible plan for most people, when you run a calculator, when you really look at what your expenses are, it feels like a lot to pay everything up front. But when you really look at what that copay and that co-insurance rate is, the high deductible plan usually comes out better. Not to mention you paid a lower rate every single month for the actual insurance itself. So for most people, let's just get out a calculator, start plugging it in, whatever your insurance rate is, times 12, figure out what that yearly amount is. If you're talking over $1,000 a month for insurance, you're paying $12,000 before they even cover a single thing. That's kind of crazy. So then you really do want to look at the coverage. Okay. And yes, Lexi, I agree. Start early anytime we can on retirement. Start early. The earlier you start, the more money you have in retirement. Even if you take a few years off, the longer that money sits in a retirement account, not being touched, the more interest that it is earning and compound. So next year, I'm earning interest on my interest from this year. You get the idea. It's just growing the longer it sits there. So yes, start early. Teaching our kids to start early. Teaching our kids that have those high school jobs. Okay, you put this much in retirement. You put this much in a local savings. I think this is a huge thing that parents are really failing their kids on when we don't walk them through how to take their monthly paychecks and immediately break them into, this is automatic savings. Savings is first, paying bills second. And then beyond that, extra money to spend. I don't want my kids to think that they are now wealthy because they got their tiny little paycheck. I want them to really view that tiny little paycheck even smaller, to say, hey, you got $150, but 20% of that needs to go in a savings account. No, we're not trying to get them to save all of it. We want them to enjoy the fact that they're working, and working has some perks. But we do want them to view savings as the first thing they do. And for adults, guys, little, housekeeping tip here. You should go in and you should set up in your bank a automatic payment every month. If you know that your paycheck is always the 1st and the 15th, then you should set up an automatic payment on the 3rd and the 17th, whatever it is, however it lines up with your paycheck, to automatically pull money from your checking account and put it into your savings account. And you can do that. Recurring transfers from one account to another. They're your own accounts, but you're basically moving money so that your brain views your checking account as the value it should be, right? After we've put money aside. So automate your savings, do it first thing as soon as your paycheck hits your account, and then pay your bills and then see what is left over. And I know if money is super tight that this seems really hard, but again, any savings, anytime we use the word I put money in saving, it doesn't mean that it had to be hundreds and hundreds of dollars. It could have been $10. You put whatever you could into savings. Push it as hard as you think you can. Yes, you can bring that money back if you have to, but try to be aggressive with it. Try to get yourself to put as much in savings as you can and see how the month plays out, right? But at least get yourself in that line of thinking that I got paid and I saved money first. And then I looked at after bills what was left before I started thrifting or going to the movies or whatever else you might do with your funds. You're saving first. So it's a huge way to try to get more money in savings by automating it directly through your bank, or even better, sending it to a different bank. I absolutely love our SoFi account. And if you're not with SoFi, I will tell you they always run some pretty fun offers. So right now, for example, I will show you this one. Sorry, thought I was showing it to you on the right page. Let's plug them over here. I have too many tabs up. How many of you guys are like that too? So if you go through Rakuten first, SoFi is offering on new banking accounts right now. This shows us points because that's how I earn my Rakuten. I have it set to be in points. This is $125 back on a new checking account or savings account with SoFi. So if you've not set up a SoFi account, going through Rakuten first, you're going to get $125 back. And then actually, when you head to SoFi, they're usually running offers too. So you're going to really be able to double dip here on your SoFi. Like, so right now with banking, you get up to $300 back on a new account with a direct deposit. So you really could end up with about $425 back, which is pretty sweet. SoFi is a not local bank account. So the sweet part here is it's a tiny bit harder to spend it. Not super hard to spend it, but a tiny bit harder. And I can set up direct payments from my local bank to automate and go straight to SoFi, or you could even set up from your paycheck. So depending on your HR department, you can tell them like, hey, I want $200 to deposit into this account, and I want all the rest to deposit into this other account. So you're just automating it from the paycheck level. You can totally do that in many places that many of you where you're working. Just ask HR, can I do a direct deposit to 2 accounts rather than 1? But now you're completely automating savings, and putting savings in a different bank means that when I pull up my banking information, I feel even less rich, because I kind of don't even think about that separate bank. I don't see it when I look at all my accounts. It's also a tiny bit harder, as I mentioned, to get it out. So if I really wanted to buy something, it's going to take about 2 days to transfer money from one account at a different bank to the other bank. So it saves you from some impulse buys as well. But SoFi is where we keep our extra savings. Right now, it is a wedding savings account, but it is anything that I'm trying to tuck some extra money into. And then it's kind of like my offshore savings account, or that's how I joke about it anyway, because I don't see it. I don't regularly even think about it. But I know that it's there. It's kind of that comfort nest egg for something big that comes up. And yes, and that's where Lily's other comment was, if anything, have a baby savings of $1,000 that will cover most insurance deductibles or car maintenance. Exactly. We all want to have that little chunk of extra money in case something bad happens. College kid moment, even today, I am literally sitting in Chicago to a kiddo texting me and saying, hey, the car won't start. It's messing up. Now, my first response is you are texting the wrong parent, and you need to text the parent that actually does car things. But the second response is, this is what your savings account is. If you need to get a new battery, something like that, that is what that extra little savings can be, because car batteries, they aren't super cheap these days. But it's just a funny moment and a good reason that we all have that extra savings. So SoFi interest rates right now, great question. There we go. I knew if I scrolled down, I would see it. So this is, those are mortgage rates. That does not help us. I was hoping it was right on their page. So they have all the rates, obviously, vary by account. And I thought that they would be right on their homepage. They're making it a little harder to see. I want to say in general, they're at the 4% range. I know as the feds continue to reduce rates, that savings rates are changing too. So I'm not sure how they have changed, but SoFi savings rates do go up when you have a direct deposit into them. There we go, 4.5% for their high yield savings account, which is just a savings account. And there's no account fees, no minimum balances, and you can get a cash bonus of up to $300. So there you go, 4.5%. And that's why we're with SoFi, because our local bank is pitiful. So your brick and mortar local bank, probably nowhere near 4.5% on any savings account. So I do encourage you to look at what I call offshore accounts, but it's really online banking accounts. It's just funny, makes me feel like I, have a yacht somewhere. But It's just a great way to get a better rate when they're not having to deal with brick and mortar locations. There's less overhead, and they usually do have better interest rates across the board. So SoFi is a good one. There are others that you can look into too. Capital One does offer some online accounts. If you're wanting a different bank, you can go that route. Okay, so in all of this, we've hit a lot of things tonight, but if you guys have any questions on where we've gone, feel free to chime in too on health insurance, taxes, or savings. As we hit the end of the year, there is one housekeeping thing that I would encourage you to do, and it has not been fully updated. I actually was just helping some friends through this too, with some of the recent changes, but I do think that everyone needs to go through and do, go through and do the IRS withholding calculator multiple times a year. You should start your year here, and really you should kind of end your year here. And this is a perfect time of the year to do it. So I will go through and stick this in the comments for you guys. But with the IRS withholding calculator, when you plug in your information, just grab your most recent pay stub, and you're going to put in how much you've earned so far this year and how much has been withheld. And then it's going to ask you questions. What kind of deductions do you have? How many kids do you have? It's going to tell you a quick glimpse at what your taxes look like for this upcoming year, for 2025. Because you still have a couple pay periods left. And if it tells you that you owe, that you're not looking good, you didn't have enough withheld, you still have some time to make those changes before you end up owing a bunch in April. So you can have little bits withheld for the next few months, and hopefully that might fix it versus ending up owing a bunch at the beginning of the year. So it is a great time to use that calculator. It's very easy to use. All you need to grab is most recent pay stubs for anyone on your taxes, you and your husband, however you're filing your taxes. And it takes less than 10 minutes, and it's going to spit out in the end what your estimated taxes are. Obviously, there could be some changes there, but for the most part, it's pretty accurate. And then you can make sure that your withholding is right where it needs to be. Or you may look out and you may realize, whoa, I've actually withheld way more than I needed to have this year. And I can go into HR and tell them, don't withhold anything for the next 2 months. How great would that be? You just got like a little Christmas bonus. Now, come January, you need to go back in, redo the calculator, and adjust for next year. But it is a great time as you go into Christmas to potentially find some extra money. If you've had too much withheld, maybe you had a baby this year and you haven't adjusted your withholding for that extra person in the house, you never know. So play with that calculator. I went to stick the link in the comments. It'll take me a second. The internet and the hotel is not wanting me to load a web page right now, but I will stick it in there for you guys. Or just Google IRS tax withholding calculator. It's going to be one of the first things that pulls up in your search, but it is a really great tool. There are some changes with the big beautiful bill that came out earlier this year, but for most people, it's not a huge change. And if anything, the biggest change has been that everyone's standardized deduction, just the basic deduction, is actually significantly higher than it was last year. So as you play with it, you may actually find that you have over withheld because of that deduction going up. So could be a good time to play with it and see how your taxes are looking. Are you looking great? And maybe can take a couple months off from having some extra taxes withheld, or do you need to have a little bit more? So some homework, but some really good homework going into November, just so that you're not blindsided by things come mid-January. That's also when like Christmas bills come due, right? Nobody wants that. Right after the credit card bill came from Christmas, you will know what you're looking at for taxes. It's kind of helpful. Okay, so that's all my homework as we go through here today. But hopefully this has helped a tiny bit. So you're right here. You've got until December 15th on any healthcare plans if you decide to go with a traditional health insurance plan. So make that decision through December 15th. Oh, and I did miss one other tip there. I mentioned this probably 3 or 4 months ago, but please stay away from any insurance plans that will compare things. So I'm just going to go ahead and, just a general Google search for health insurance. That's all I did here. I want you to ignore everything. Don't do this. If you're going to search for insurance, honestly, you should just search through it through healthcare.gov, even if you don't qualify for a subsidy. Maybe you make more, you and your husband make more than a subsidy would be anyway. It doesn't matter. You can still get your insurance through healthcare.gov even without a subsidy, but you do not want to use these sites that come up first, whatever they might be. You want to use healthcare.gov, maybe, Blue Cross Direct. It knows I live in South Carolina. But these others that come up, you are talking about so much junk mail, so much spam calls, spam texts. I did this a year ago. I still get spam texts and spam phone calls weekly, a year later, offering me health insurance. I do not want them. So please learn from my mistake. Do not use these comparison quote sites. They make a lot of money off of selling your information, and it is only going to drive you crazy. So healthcare.gov, even if you don't qualify for subsidies, you can still see all the plans that are available in your area. Or even better is you can go through a local insurance broker in your area. So insurance brokers, they don't cost you anything, and you can buy plans from them. They can help you shop plans. They can even help you shop healthcare marketplace plans and subsidies. So searching for a health insurance broker in your area, much safer Google search than the comparison online insurance rate sites. So please just learn from my bad mistake. Maybe someday my spam calls and spam texts will end, but I kind of doubt it. So hopefully I will save at least one person from that frustration. It has not been pleasant. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and hop off if there are no questions. I don't know whether or not I will do a drugstore video tomorrow. Some of it will depend on whether or not my plane departs from Chicago on time. There have been a lot of delays. I had a lot of delays to get here yesterday, so I'm not sure that I will get home on time tomorrow. If I do not do a drugstore video tomorrow, I will probably just randomly do one because we do have new ads for CVS and Walgreens. I've gotten all the unadvertised deals added to CVS. I plan to sit here and add all the coupons in tonight. And I will get all of Walgreens added in tomorrow. So lots of new deals in both stores. It is a great time to hit the drugstores. I just don't know that I'll be able to pull off a video by 3 p.m. tomorrow. So if I don't go live at 3, I'm probably stuck somewhere sitting in an airplane on a tarmac that's not moving. But hopefully I will make it home. So I will talk to you again soon, just not exactly sure as to when. But I will do a drugstore video at some point in the next couple days whenever I do get home and have it all ready for you guys. So thanks for joining me tonight, and I will chat with you again very soon. I hope you guys have a great week. And next week, we will be talking all deals as we really get into the season. And again, a reminder for anyone that joined late, this week, Kohl's and Target are releasing their Black Friday deals early on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So be ready to shop those sales for Kohl's and Target. Specifically Kohl's, you really want to shop on 11/7. That is the first date that they will be releasing those sales. So that's on Thursday, and they're going to have their $15 Kohl's cash on any $50 purchase, as well as a 15% off coupon. So it's going to be a pretty fun day for Kohl's deals, as well as all the Black Friday deals. So it's like Black Friday just this Thursday. So be watching for that on 11/7 for Kohl's, and then Target is going to be kind of that whole window, 11/6 to 11/9. You'll have that whole Target ad preview as well. So, and Dee Dee, no words on CVS Black Friday so far. The current ad is going to go through 11/15. I kind of expect CVS to run a 2-week ad starting on 11/16. It'll actually take us through Black Friday. And honestly, last year for Black Friday at CVS, it was pretty dismal. They didn't bring out a bunch of extra Black Friday deals like they used to. Like, I totally miss the Black Friday of yesteryear at CVS. So I wouldn't hold your breath for magical deals. I would say we usually see for Black Friday at this point maybe 3 or 4 freebies, but nothing like it used to be. And I do expect it to still be a 2-week long ad. So 11/16 through Black Friday. But we'll see what CVS gives us. And now there are no previews since they have no printed ad. We all just have to wait until they release them every Thursday morning when a new ad comes out. So we'll know eventually on that one, but I don't expect anything big. Okay, gonna go ahead and hop off. I will talk to you guys soon. I hope you have a great night. Thanks for joining me.